Hi there, I'm Steve Macarat. I teach environmental science at Brown County High School. Diversity, well, grade-wise, it is about 80% sophomores, and then about 20% is juniors and seniors. It's about half and half male-female. As far as diversity culturally, you've got very few African Americans. There are a few, and other than that, that's about it.
Brown County is not a particularly diverse school setting. We're a rural school corporation, and so as a result, in Indiana, we're mostly white. I think the diversity is not cultural, it's socioeconomic. So we have students that are from wealthy families. Everybody's parents works outside of the county, essentially.
Okay.
And so the majority of wealth is either from Bloomington or Indianapolis or Columbus. If you have engineers, doctors, lawyers, etc., that represents a tiny fraction of us. The rest are either working class or, I would say, upper lower class. Median income is really low. We're at, I think, around 19,000, somewhere in that ballpark.
The diversity of my classroom, limited diversity within my classroom, I would say. Mostly Caucasian students. Most of them come from the same socioeconomic background, like lower middle class.
Okay.
Even educational background, I would say, is very similar. We have limited college experience for most of our parents. So.
The nice thing I've always found about Brown County is not very obvious who the rich are and the poor until you get into a little bit in discussion, but there's a very good mix because we have two extremes in our county, but it's not very obvious even how they dress. You got a few fancy dressers and stuff, but sometimes it's the poor trying to act like they're a little better off. We do a lot of discussion on standard of living and that type of thing in my class, and sometimes it'll come up, but generally, no, the subject doesn't even come up, and I don't see any bullying, any hassling, any issues involved in it.
And so the majority of wealth is either from Bloomington or Indianapolis or Columbus. If you have engineers, doctors, lawyers, etc., that represents a tiny fraction of us. The rest are either working class or, I would say, upper lower class. Median income is really low. We're at, I think, around 19,000, somewhere in that ballpark.
Okay.
So even then, we're fairly homogenized. I'm just guessing 60-70% of the kids fall into the we're making it by not by a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen the beach before and probably never will. And then the rest are steps up there socioeconomically. I've read some studies, some longitudinal ones that looked at impoverished homes versus wealthy homes at just the number of words you heard, and in some poorer homes you might have only heard 200,000 different words in your life, whereas in wealthy homes you might have heard over 1 million different words. As a result, it's a constant battle. I mean, I have kids complaining that they don't. I couldn't answer the question because I didn't know what independent meant.
I think it impacts our literacy quite a bit. Most of the students in the school read, but I don't know that they read proficiently, nor do I know if they read at home like on a great deal basis. I know that they carry books around in school, even like chapter books, but I think that that's mostly mandated from their English classes, like they have to read some kind of chapter book for their English class. As far as we read in class, in my class, and it's, of course, like a science text, so it's a different kind of reading. But still, it seems foreign for them to like look through and kind of dissect their reading. It just kind of glaze over the words is kind of how they read. So it's not very, I don't think, common to just read a lot and read well. I think those are kind of things, if you read a lot and read well, that glazing wouldn't happen quite as much.
Right.
One thing I do, like second semester, we get away from the textbook and it is more reading oriented, and we do a lot of reading in the computer lab, but what I like them to do is find something to read at their level. So they have hundreds of choices out there in the internet world, and so it's more of an earth science class, and so they can look up something they understand. And some are at a very low level, but they find a website that they understand, where some are getting into more of the science-based websites. And so it seems to handle that situation pretty well. Assume they're doing the best they can, and I talk to them about that. I want them to do the best they can and get a minimum of 3 sentences or something. I give them goals, and it's tough reading sometimes, where they can't spell the most basic of words, and you wonder how they get through. But I try to get beyond that and see if they got the idea. And so
I mean, we could say, oh, you're going to use this here or, well, there, whatever, but until education is valued through the home, that, it's not going to change. Nothing we do is going to change today, outside of making them sit in the room and do